Everyone! Time for the Get to the Point review.
Well, hey everyone. Welcome to the Get to the Point review podcast. I am your co-host, Kelly McKinney of Hohenheim Productions.
And I'm the other co-host, Josh Gibson from Fourth Wall Players.
And this week we are joined by a very special guest, Amish Patel, actor, writer, and comedian known for Dino, available on Amazon Prime, as well as the esteemed daytime podcast, The Drip. Welcome, Amish.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, dude. You called into The Drip.
Yeah.
That's how we met?
Yes. Pretty much
Hohenheim.
That's right. Pretty much a regular by this point, right?
Yeah.
And as is normally with the Get to the Point review podcast, we start out with a recent movie, as well as doing a Get to the Point review basically on a review of the most recent movie. And this episode we chose Soul. Amish, do you want to open us up with a Get to the Point review on Soul?
Put him on the spot.
Soul is a beauty. Great film. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's basically like it's about soul music, but it's about someone's soul, and you know what that means. How they go into a lot of soul mechanics, which I like. I like when people get into the technicalities of some soul mechanics. Got a little spirituality. They talked about being in the flow state, and when people are in the flow state, they're like in this place in essentially heaven. It's
like
basically
concept,
like white people heaven, or not white people. Sorry,
White people heaven.
It's atheist heaven. It's like atheist heaven.
Yeah,
Atheists
exactly.
just make their own heaven, right?
Right. Yeah, it's basically as close as they get.
It's going
to
to go on the next T-shirt.
It's on the next, but white people heaven. That's right. Next T-shirt, white people heaven.
It's progressive heaven. It's progressive heaven. It's like very nice. Everyone's included. It's nice. Like,
very nice.
God's not being mean.
It's
everyone's
really woke.
blue. It's very woke. Everyone's blue, but not in a depressive state, just in like a glowy state. Yeah.
And they're trans, I think, too. I think a lot. I was surprised at how
no gender,
pro-trans.
Yeah,
no gender.
For sure. Yeah, right. Exactly. That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, especially with
I did not mention that in my review.
Well, yeah, I didn't either. With how 22 could kind of like switch her voice. However.
Yeah.
All right. And what was yours on Soul, Josh?
I said, selfish middle-aged jazz musician dies and learns there's more to life than his personal desires, but not before cheating death and stealing another soul's chance at living. Sound designer was awesome, though.
Scathing review.
Scathing. Scathing review of the lead character.
Scathing review of the lead character. It's like, is he supposed to be likable? He just stole that
right,
soul's
well,
chance.
Throughout most of it he is, but then there's just that random bit, towards the middle, where he's just he's very, very selfishly inclined. And
well, I mean, it comes down to the moment when he has the opportunity to switch back into his body, and then things, get flipped on him. It's like, now all of a sudden,
and I get
in a
it.
tough spot.
Everyone gets irritated.
Yeah. I just like to try to make them as humorous as possible, but
right. Well, for my Get to the Point review on Soul, I put Scientology gets a dose of the feels from Pixar, and I only cried once. Also, Joe should have died.
You cried?
I cried.
When did you cry in that
movie?
movie?
I know it's a big surpriser for you that I cried. Right?
No, not really, but...
Look, it's probably a time when most people didn't think that I'd cry. Like, it's when he's talking to his mom.
Hey, it's COVID. Blame it on the COVID.
That was a very... Okay, I get that. I get that because of your personal relationship. I get that.
Yeah, well, when he's talking to his mom, and it wasn't even that he was talking to his mom, it was what he was saying. Like,
right.
If being a musician means that I don't eat, then I'd rather not eat. And I totally felt that. I was like, I get it.
It's passion. So artist.
It is so
artist.
Like
so many artists cried during that movie.
That's throughout most of the movie, he's pretty well done. I guess I was disappointed. I thought they were really going to try to go with him finding joy and being a teacher and inspiring future musicians or whatever.
Yeah.
And they didn't go that route at all, which I know Pixar is good for, but I just preferred it over the route they went.
Right.
You're not wrong about him being selfish. I mean, ultimately, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is if you didn't it's kind of that he did get selfish in a way. He just stopped trying so hard to put stuff out there.
Yeah.
As an artist, it became I'm going to be famous versus hey, just play good shit.
Right.
And those jazz musicians are into that. They're so artistically inclined that they don't care about being famous.
Right.
You go to them and tell them I have this contact, I have this. They just go
yeah.
I'm playing a room for 20 people tonight. I'm happy. It's going to be great. Whatever.
Right. By the way, spoiler alert, guys.
By the way, spoiler. Yeah.
Spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dreams don't come true. Spoiler.
Buried the lead on that one.
That kind of comes with the Get to the Point review podcast. Let's just go.
Spoiler alert! It's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the spoiler.
There you
Watch
go.
it.
That's the spoiler.
People are too crazy with the spoiler reviews. It's
right.
like it's a prequel now. It's a prequel now.
Who
You
cares?
watch Star Wars.
Yeah, right, yeah.
all
Everyone knew
spoiler,
what was going to happen
like-
in Titanic.
Yeah, we all knew what
You
was
know what's
going
gonna happen. You enjoyed the journey, but people just tell themselves they're like, "Oh, you spoiled it. Now I'll hate it." It's like,
Yeah, I've never been that guy.
like it.
I like
yeah.
watching how they tell the story as
Right.
opposed to what happens.
Yeah, only Sixth Sense. That's the only one.
Only one. That's one. Yeah, major spoiler territory,
Yeah.
right? Well, we won't spoil
Yeah.
that one for people here.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
won't, but you're a little late on that. Anyway.
All right.
All right.
Get on it.
Okay, so then with the review of Soul, we went with Plugged In review. Okay, which Plugged In, if you guys don't know, is focus on the family. It's very Christian oriented, so we're ready to tear it a new one. This review written by Paul Asay. We're not really tearing it a new one, but
Not really.
my Get to the Point review over the review basically says that this is the reviewer's attempt to sell the movie rather than see into the great beyond, past Pixar's well-attuned life purpose of giving us the feels. Because this review on the movie had basically nothing negative to say about it, and it's not a perfect movie, it's just a great one. You know what I mean? I did really enjoy it. It's not, no, there's no perfect movie. So to have nothing negative to say about it is just like very Fence City for me.
I thought like a lot of movies like this, the premise is so tight. Kind of remind me of Vanilla Sky. Like, you ever watch Vanilla Sky where you're half an hour in, you're like, this is amazing. How could they possibly write their ways out of this? And then you realize they didn't write their way out of it. They just ended it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Or
Yeah,
like they just
exactly.
threw something together.
Right.
It's so, I don't want to say they threw something together. It technically ties up, but there is a satisfaction missing in it. You're right. It's not as good as the other Pixar movies. Honestly, it made me feel good because I'm writing stuff like that for TV.
Right.
And
Right.
when it started, I was like, damn, this guy did all the good stuff. Like,
yeah,
he
yeah.
did the technicals really, really well. But then no, they didn't wrap it up well. I
just felt like it was a lot of setup with no punchline. Or
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and
underwhelming punchline.
over halfway through the movie, I got that the spark wasn't your purpose in life. The spark is the spark of life, which is a
Right.
very common turn of phrase. You know what I mean? The spark of life. It's just living itself that's the spark, not what your purpose is. And so, like, the fact that I felt that and understood what they were trying to show us halfway through the movie, for them to then 15 minutes before the end be like, no, that's not the purpose, you silly human.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
like-
well, we knew that.
We knew that, yeah.
He
Like,
just didn't.
Is that like
Yeah.
a surprise? Is that
Right.
a twist? I don't get that.
Yeah.
And your review on the review, sir.
My review.
Yes.
My review on the review is Paul completely glosses over some of the narrative issues with the movie to celebrate the message that life is beautiful whether you achieve greatness or not. So why try to be great?
So what should be great?
That's a good point. Yeah.
That is a good one. Yeah, and I feel like you summarized the message of the movie very well, even with the cynical spin on the end.
I try to be succinct.
Yeah. I mean, that did feel like a bit the point of the movie where it's like he is a little selfish. Like, he is just kind of living for himself. He's not really giving it everything he has. So then, yeah, like, it's, better to have, I feel like you need that ending.
Right.
Of like him achieving his, of like fighting through, achieving his
of
thing.
him finding like something else, because you could tell that he realized that once he like got to play the dream gig or whatever, he was just like, oh, I don't really want to do this every night,
Right. Yeah.
So,
well, in my mind, that should
He's just a
have
flake.
been the closure.
Yeah.
He's just a flake. He's just a flake.
he doesn't know what he
He
wants.
doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't know.
Doesn't know what he wants. He's like, oh, you changed your mind again? Come on.
This guy spends 40
Yeah.
years trying to do this one night, and then he does it. He's like, oh shit, I didn't think about what
I
to do
didn't
after.
think about what to do after I got to the.
Like, you want to go to Denny's or something?
It's just like people that play professional football, when they finally get to the Super Bowl, they've played their whole lives towards a game that happens midlife. Like, you know what I mean? So the
Not
midlife
even
crisis
midlife,
starts
like
right. Yeah,
30 years
for most
old,
of them,
yeah, like-
30 years.
They're like 20,
yeah, right.
I mean, even think of their college days. It's insane. Like, they're showered with praise and glory and all that, and then it's like,
Well, that's why, yeah.
there's got to be a joy to life that's not about achieving something. So they got a point there.
Yeah.
But then that goes off too. You need the balance.
Yeah.
You can't go one way too much, or else one way you get lazy, It is like communism, capitalism, or something too. Like, you know what I mean? Like left and right.
It's like you gotta have a balance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
and it's hard to explain to people that I know you just want everything for free, but it's not going to be fun, and it'll ruin you even.
Well,
Right.
I think that's sort of what draws at least me and Amish towards these like spiritual things in the first place, is that there's no one correct right answer. The whole thing is that it's anti-dogmatic. You know what I mean? Like, other than I guess the only fundamental truth that I feel or believe spiritually is that God is love, but beyond that, there's no dogma. You know what I mean? Like in anything. It's spiritual in my mind, kind of thing. But yeah. All right, and so the bulk of our episode, right, is basically us listing our top 5 Canadian actors of all time and reviewing one of their favorite movies to sort of support our opinion. And I think, Amish, would you like to kick us off with your first
one
actor?
at a time?
Yeah, one at a time.
Sure, yeah, let's go. Let's go one at a time. Number 5, I'm coming in hot with Keanu Reeves. I know he's sexy right now. He's big in the game. It's not for The Matrix. It's actually for The Buddha, where he plays the Buddha. And it's one of my favorite movies. And everyone rips on it because he's white and he's playing the Buddha, but it works, man. He's enlightened.
Yeah.
I think he's enlightened in real life. And they gave him a bit of a tan.
He seems like it,
It's
yeah.
fine.
Right. Well, and I think the whole thing, like, just like with 47 Ronin, right? Like, it's like you can't say that, Keanu Reeves whitewashed a movie when he is so proud of basically the half of his heritage that doesn't show. You know what I mean? As far as like, physically, it's like you can't be upset because because he loves his.
What was it like? Rashida Jones was getting flack for being on that Blackish show, and she's half black. And
Yeah, Rashida Jones, and also the other on Big Mouth, the girl quit because she was doing the voice of a half black, half Jewish girl, and she's Jewish.
Yeah.
It's like, just, I don't know. I mean,
My whole thing,
hire someone, I guess.
right? Well, and I feel
so
like
rich.
we're getting so like, isn't that the point of acting, is to play something that you're maybe not, right?
Yeah,
like,
we're getting to the point that that's going to be impossible.
Right, yeah, because, now, I mean, I just like with Robert Downey Jr. or with even Sean Penn in Sam I Am. Like, I don't remember, at least maybe it was just the time, I don't remember people giving Sean Penn shit for playing, someone with Down syndrome beautifully.
That wasn't
right?
our social, issues at the time. Like, people didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they didn't care, but it wasn't,
That
big.
wasn't the issue at the time. Like, these issues do come and go like fashion, and it's a problem, man. I mean, people just get riled up. Like a bunch of people just get so...
And it
it's
changes
like these
every
Capitol
generation.
Riots.
Blame it on the COVID. Blame it on the
Blame
COVID.
it on
baby.
COVID. I mean...
I Am Sam did
look
not
at-
win an Oscar because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to say it's because that's why it didn't win an Oscar. Is exactly right. So did you had?
Yeah.
So we both had Keanu Reeves as
That's fine.
honorable
Honorable
mentions.
mention, yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
I basically made him an honorable mention because it was like can't
I had
touch
to
the
write that.
popularity, right? Can't touch the
Yeah.
popularity.
He keeps coming out with the hits. I mean, a couple of years ago, he came out with that trilogy, and then he still came out with the video game now. The guy's innovative. He's tight.
Well,
He's undeniable.
I just think it's funny because do you think 20 years ago people would have been like, "Yo, Keanu Reeves is one of the best actors"?
We had no idea he was
Like-
going to be the internet's boyfriend.
Right, like
Had
he,
no idea.
he had the Matrix movies, but everybody realized that was just because they were a spectacle.
Right.
Right?
Well,
Like-
and they were innovative in
Yeah.
bringing basically kung fu movies to a Western cinema.
No,
in,
it took
like,
it.
Yeah.
a
It took him-
political
But
fashion.
he fits that philosophy. Like, he's a Zen guy, and he plays a Zen character always. And so there's something about that that's working all around.
He figured out how to make
who
it
he's
work.
here to be.
Yeah,
What's that?
he figured out how to make it work. I think he figured
He's
out what
making
his
it work,
niche was.
What a great guy. He's so nice in real life, too. You know, he won't put his hands on a girl. Like, if he's
Yeah,
if he's like
I've
taking
seen the pictures of it.
He calls it hovering.
Yeah,
You're
Wow.
Keanu Reeves.
And is that
Put your hand on the shoulder, dude. It's
Right.
a shoulder.
Yeah, she wants you to touch her. She wants you to touch her. That's for sure. It's Keanu Reeves, right? She wants you to touch her, most likely.
A shoulder for a picture. If she said, "Hey, can I take a picture? Oh my God, I love you, I love you, I love you."
She wants you to touch her. Yeah, she wants you to touch her.
Hand on the shoulder. Just a hand on the shoulder. Lower
sure.
back? I wouldn't go. Don't put it on her bum.
Yeah,
Lower
don't do
back,
that.
upper
Don't-
back.
you know.
Go upper back, go shoulder. How about that?
right.
The hover, it seems extreme, but
It
he's a
is.
great guy.
He's
That's
a
what a
great
nice
guy,
guy is.
yeah.
I mean, I get it. Like, you don't want to have the question come up at all, right?
Right,
So
yeah, and
it's-
then the one thing you can say is he's not invading their personal space. That's
Right.
for damn sure, right?
But again, it's very Zen, right? Like, how many people in our culture right now are like, "Oh, I don't believe in this PC culture, so I'm gonna get right in there," and then he's just like,
so
"You know
many,
what?
too
I'm
many.
Too many.
Too many people are like that now.
Yeah.
All right. Both had
So-
Keanu Reeves on honorable mentions. Go ahead and start off with your number 5.
I don't really have them in an order because we were told not to. But
yeah, it's
my
on
first
the top
one,
5.
I have Rick Moranis from Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh,
Okay.
As playing the awkwardly shy and quirky character is as natural to Moranis as swimming is to fish. He exemplifies the nerdy to hero archetype in a decade full of those sort of roles. Plus, he's also a good singer, so that was a nice surprise.
Surprisingly, right? Yeah. Rick Moranis. You know, it's
Well,
interesting. I love Rick Moranis. He just wouldn't have struck my top 5, but that's awesome.
Well,
I can't believe how many people I miss when I talk to you
yeah,
guys.
Little Shop of Horrors is like one of my favorite musicals. So, plus our Little Shop of Horrors video got a lot of hits, so I thought maybe I'd up the.
Kind of as some sort of an offbeat someone. I had Martin Short, and the movie that I reviewed of his was Three Amigos.
Yes.
Okay, and that's because a movie with ridiculously funny moments dominated by the comic mastery of Chase Short and Martin. And there's very few comedic or like movies like that where a gun scene makes me feel for the character. When he had to quick draw against the Russian who was like his greatest fan, like you actually feel the swell of pride for loving Martin Short. He outdrew him. Like he seriously outdrew him, and he was like, "There's never been any film tricks. I don't use film tricks.
I didn't know Martin Short was Canadian, but that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's awesome, man. I met him once in Las Vegas when I was 17. It was pretty fun.
Classic movie too. That movie is so good. Three Amigos.
It really is.
Yeah, dude.
So
I have.
Yes, back around to Amish. Exactly.
Oh yeah, I have Kim Cattrall. I put Sex in the City. Is that cool? It's homeball. It's HBO.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I ended up choosing a TV show
I
for
just
one of
think-
mine.
yeah, for me, it's
Okay.
too hard to do a TV show because there's so much that goes into it. But
Right.
Honestly, with Sex in the City, like, okay, I know now. I know that every generation just does this, but like, I can look back on those university years of my life, and that really helped me have sex with people. Like, people were shy about it, and really, I feel like girls my age at the time, they were watching that to be like, oh, did you see what happened in Sex and the City? And it was a way to ease the anxiety,
right,
you know,
Conversation,
and have a good time,
icebreaker.
normalize it. Yeah.
Yeah, an icebreaker.
normalize it. I really appreciated that effort, you know. And every generation, I realize now that every generation just does that show. Like they had a show like that in the '70s too.
Right.
It was
Right.
a little less risque. Like Sex and the City pushed it, and then now girls pushed it. But Kim Cattrall, she brought the heat on that, and dated Pierre Trudeau.
Right, yeah,
I like that.
And I can appreciate that too because I mean, besides out of the 4 friends, they really are 4 different women, right? So you can
Yeah.
could also because you could also sort of tell the difference between like you get to get a
You got
feel
the hoe,
for
you got the she played the hoe, dude.
Right, and
and
she
like
did.
yeah, and I say
And-
that with respect. She played the one that was like, well, they were all banging.
yeah.
But she led the charge a lot of times, and she said, "What? I'm rich. I'm making money. I don't give a shit."
Right.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I like that. You know,
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
see much of it, and people need it more.
Well, and and honestly, like that, it's a kind of a oomph towards feminism, right? Like,
Right.
like that's kind of what they want, right? It's like it's okay to not be shaming somebody for them being for her being sexually active and
Right.
taking charge of what she
100%.
wants, knowing what she wants, right?
100%. We don't realize how anti that stuff we are here. I mean, I come from
I
India.
realize
I'm not from India. I'm from Canada. But like in India, I thought they were strict, and then we're open minded. People are messed up about sex here.
Right? No,
Like they
are.
got issues. There's issues. So
We're
it's,
from-
it's good. I
I
think it's an
mean,
important show.
Europe's
We-
way ahead of us
Yeah.
for sure.
We live in the Midwest. We understand.
Yeah. Being in the Bible Belt, like every sexual thought sends you to hell, right? So yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it's actually slightly less frowned upon when you sleep with animals.
Yeah, when you sleep with animals. Welcome to Indiana.
Hey man, it comes out in another way. We just found these like naked gurus in India. They just go. They're naked dudes. They're grown men naked.
Yeah.
They go to women's houses, and the women are like, and they're like bowing down in front of their crotches. It's like, guys, this is what happens when you repress sexuality.
Right.
Yeah.
Just let people date instead.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of being weird. But anyway,
That's
we can go on.
insane. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I wonder if are we going to get a drip video about that sometime soon?
But those guys, yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like that's drip material right there. Like,
That's good material, but they're not charging anything. It's free. It's all free.
Well, yeah.
So weird.
So is booty. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
My next one was Leslie Nielsen from Airplane.
Oh, dang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he's Canadian. I didn't even know that.
I know. Yeah, some of these just like, whoa.
I googled Canadian actors.
That's exactly what I did. I googled Canadian actors.
I did too. I didn't find him though, but that's great that he. I do remember that he has all these names. Martin Short. I didn't see them. I don't know why, but he's great, and the movie was so good. Naked Gun. And remember O.J. Simpson was in that?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yes. Yeah. Oh
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the movie you were saying, but
No, I was talking about Airplane.
Airplane, true. Airplane's classic too.
And my review was, it was hard to pick one, but I went with one of the most quoted movies of all time. I mean, he just understood that the best comedy happens when the character takes himself seriously. And then, try not to judge him for the Scary Movie franchise, though, because that wasn't his fault.
You missed a fucking opportunity to put a Shirley joke in there, brother.
I didn't know. No, I'm being serious.
You're surely gonna laugh
These are not-
at this movie. Don't call me Shirley.
These-
Like, come on, how could you not end it with that?
Not doing it.
Oh,
Sure.
I'm gonna have to
I'm
rewatch
not,
it.
I'm not Leslie Nielsen. I'm sorry.
Leslie Nielsen. That's for damn sure. Okay, no, I'm
He was like Michael Scott of that time.
there you go. There you go. All right, and mine, I had Kiefer Sutherland, and I chose An Eye for an Eye. Okay, and it's because when I was a child, it disturbed me. He played it kind of too well, right? So, but Sally Field is a perfect choice for a rapist-killing vigilante. That is basically my get to the point review on Eye for an Eye.
More than Jodie
Okay.
Foster?
More than Jodie Foster, and I like Sally Field more, anyways. I date her, so there's one of those things
You're like
in there.
70.
The older the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Hey, have respect. Sally Field? Yeah, no, Sally Field, I do it.
Yeah,
just
so
saying.
I grew, but we're older than you probably, so we grew up watching her when she was, you know what I mean? So.
Well, Kelly's my age.
shh. I'm older than this now. I'm older.
Oh, really?
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
I
I'm
don't know.
older.
I just look young.
Yeah. I just
Okay. I picked Donald Sutherland for my next one, and
Right.
the reason I picked Donnie Boy over here, the dad, I was gonna go Kiefer, but I said go for Dad, because
Go for
first of
Dad.
all, without Dad, there's no Kiefer.
Without Donald, there is no Kiefer. Well, let's just be honest here.
Also, like, probably in the film industry, maybe not, I don't know. But Donald was in a classic movie called MASH,
Oh,
and
yeah. Oh, God, love MASH.
MASH turned into a TV show, but it was a movie first, and it was a pretty rock and roll story of how they made it and stuff like that. And I just think it's cool that he was part of that, and the anti-Vietnam rhetoric of it. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Great
Yeah,
movie.
which was awesome. I that's one thing I still love about kind of what we do in the film industry is its ability to impact people through art.
Right.
You know what I mean? For a lot of people, MASH is responsible for the arguments they had against the Vietnam War because
Right.
they wouldn't have been able to come up with them themselves. And let's just be honest, America's stupid, so we need help sometimes. And so
That's what Hollywood's there for, and they did their job on that.
they
Yeah.
did. They sure did. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Josh.
All right, so the next one I have is Eugene Levy.
Yeah.
This is another one that there's so many to choose
yes.
from, but I put the American Pie series.
Yeah, that's
It's a good one.
I was like, Jim's dad is the best thing about these movies. His over-the-top reactions capture the awkwardness that a parent of a teenager faces daily.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And-
yes, the eyebrows.
Yes, the reason why nice, beautiful. I mean, there it is, right there.
Yeah.
And I didn't put Eugene Levy because it would have been way too hard for me to choose
one,
a
yeah.
role for him because I literally love him in everything he's done.
That's
from
why I went with the
Christopher
series because I
Guest
figured
films.
you'd get
Yeah.
more of that character. But
Right.
You got to check out the Christopher Guest series. You know the Christopher
Yes,
Guest?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just said that. I was
guys
like the
know.
Christopher Guest series. That's where I'm at. Like, for me, I
Yeah,
mean,
y'all know.
Schitt's Creek. I had to watch it just because of the cast: Eugene Levy and
Catherine O'Hara,
and Catherine
who's
O'Hara.
also on my honorable mentions list for Canadian actors.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's amazing.
Man, I dropped a whole Coke on the kid. What's his name? I was waiting tables by the CTV, their old building, and he was hosting the show there.
Oh, and Jason Biggs?
Eugene Levy's kid. What was his
Oh
name
no,
again?
no,
Daniel Levy.
Daniel Levy.
Yeah,
Daniel Levy. Yeah,
We were
I just
talking
spilled a
about
whole
something
Coke on him. What a great guy. He was like so nice about it.
Yeah.
He stayed.
Oh.
He ate the food. Like not everything. I spilled a whole glass of Coke on him at the
Right.
when I was working at the Young and Bloor Jack Astor's.
Wow.
Such a nice guy. I couldn't believe they didn't even fire me. I was just so bad because they were forcing us to use trays. I'm like, guys, I can put two glasses
Right.
in.
Yeah, that
They're
always
like, no, you have
bothered
to do
me.
trays.
Like, why would you
So, like,
use a
9
tray for
cups.
like? Why would you use a tray for like 1 cup or whatever?
Right.
Like, that's so weird to me.
Yeah, why would
They,
you
they
force
made
that?
us do. Yeah, they made you. I mean, look, it's doable. I'm being an idiot too. I was an idiot too. I was just like young and like very jittery, maybe.
No,
but I just
no,
dropped a
but-
whole Coke on him. Yeah,
Yeah.
great guy.
Yeah, well, and then not only that, but it's like the whole at that early age, it's like, oh man, forced celebrity forced celebrity interaction. It's
Yeah.
like, shit,
I didn't see him
of course.
like that. I was like, this is the host of this shit. Now he's legit.
Right, yeah,
9
of
Emmys.
course.
I mean, even when Schitt's Creek started, I was like, this is tight. Like, you
Yeah.
can tell. Because, I almost want to not like a rich person's kid. But, hey, man.
Right, because
You
yeah,
got the
that's
heat on
because
it. As
you're right.
soon as,
Because the
Schitt's Creek is
privilege.
tight.
Right.
Yeah, but like it's one thing to talk about Eugene Levy and Daniel Levy because Daniel Levy shows talent. When you talk about, like, for instance, I mean, I freaking love the man. What's his name? The old guy
Baby boy?
the old guy. He was in. He's super Christian. He's one of my
Clint Eastwood.
favorite
Clint
actors.
James Woods?
Nope, we're
Oh,
close.
John Voight? John Voight?
Not John Voight. I love
That's a
John
good
Voight
one, too, though.
but he casts his wife in everything he does now.
Oh.
Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall.
Duvall.
He casts it. It's like nepotism
Who's
gone
his wife?
wrong. His
wife?
I don't know.
I don't think I've seen a Robert
That's how
Duvall movie in
insignificant
15
she is,
years.
and that's because he's basically only done movies with his wife. He executive produces the film. She stars
Well,
in it,
who cares?
and they all bomb.
Yeah.
yeah.
No
And
problem.
it's really sad.
I mean,
because
he
I love Robert
suffers.
Duvall.
He suffers for his own sin.
For his own sin. That's
Right.
right. Luckily, God is abundant.
Yeah.
That's right. And so now we're back to me, are we not?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go
you.
with Jim Carrey. Okay.
That's
As
beautiful.
one of my, yeah, that was an easy one. It was a shoo-in. I grew up literally like idolizing, worshiping Jim Carrey, and I chose The Mask because it's basically where Norse mythology starts to saturate my childhood early, with Loki being spun as a humanist rather than an evil guy, because the whole mask with the Loki thing.
Right.
So this is from your culture. This is from your community.
It pretty much is, yeah. It's like
That's beautiful. That's great.
they threw a Canadian actor into to be the victim of a god from Norse mythology, and it was like, I like it. I like
That's
it.
a double hit. That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. Oh, good choice. I'm gonna say Rachel McAdams. I love Sherlock. She's from London, Ontario. A little biased. I just love her. I think she's great. Whatever she does,
she's
she brings the heat on
ridiculously
it.
charming.
I couldn't, like, my problem was I couldn't think of a single thing to do for her because
Right.
I thought about putting her down there too, but I just like Rachel McAdams in general.
It would have just been like putting Ryan Gosling down, because from like
Yeah.
literally anything he's done, I love him to death in.
Right.
Like Ryan Gosling, it's like
Yeah.
between Ryan Reynolds, Paul Walker, and Ryan Gosling, I don't know which one I have more of a man crush on, but they're all
Walker?
devastating. Like,
Gosling.
yeah, Paul Walker.
Totally
I used
Gosling.
to, before he died, I had a huge. All my
Really?
whole high school
That's weird
years,
to me.
I had a
Let's
huge-
raise the standards. I mean, Reynolds and Gosling,
It's
fair.
because okay,
Walker,
it's-
I'm-
let me
Yeah.
say, because Paul Walker was accessible, right? That's why.
Okay, I see.
You're
That's
aiming
why.
low.
He was the guy that would
I had
call
the
you.
shoulders low.
He was the guy that would call you back in the morning.
He was the guy who was going to call you back or stay for breakfast.
see,
yeah,
You're
exactly.
playing small. Reynolds will call you back.
Right, Reynolds will call you back. Yes. To wonder why your number's in his phone.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Walker. Go.
And wait,
You just went.
I did.
Did you just
I
go?
sure did.
No, I
You did
went
go,
with,
I'm
Rachel
sorry.
McAdams.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we got
All over
off
the
track
place.
here.
All over the
All right,
place.
so my next one is John Candy, for Cool Runnings.
Yes. You guys have better choices than me. That's a good movie.
Oh, it's not
I
a
grew up with that
I
movie.
spent-
John Candy, Cool Runnings, great.
I spent
too.
like 20
Me
minutes
too.
of research on this, so you know.
just 20.
I said entitled cheater to inspirational coach. One of the more heartwarming performances of the quirky coach story.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. This.
I know it's got a little bit of the white savior issue going on with it before that was a thing, but I definitely I loved his portrayal. It was very believable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think of that now that you say like the white savior thing. I had never viewed the movie that way because
Right,
there's
yeah.
4 teammates.
Right,
You see
yeah,
what I'm
no,
saying?
I know.
And they're the ones putting their lives in danger. Now that you say that, though, now I'm trying to picture the movie if the coach was African American.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I mean African American because you've got Jamaican guys, so you
Yeah.
still need an African American coach so that you have the culture shock,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's interesting.
Look, in a post-colonial world, you need some white saviors. I mean, if you are in a culture where everyone's just like,
Look.
"Hey, screw you, figure it out."
This-
I mean, initially you need them, dude. I mean, you can't like how many colonial British stories? There's all
Right.
there. You don't have to give them all the credit.
Right,
Sometimes they give
right,
too
no.
much credit.
No, and
You know?
I agree. I just know that like the white saviorism is kind of a recent
It's a new thing,
social
and
thing.
but it is one of those things where I'm like, okay, just chill. Like, okay,
And in a movie like that, I don't think
a white
it's
guy to be like, I'm an abolitionist.
right.
Those guys were getting beat up and killed and everything. It's like you need that. If you start, don't make fun of that.
Right.
I mean, make fun of it a little if they're being terrible,
Right.
like
And
they're
I
being
think-
dumb.
I do think that movie personally. I think it goes more towards white ally, personally. But I'm also white myself, so I'm not exactly the foremost authority.
We're not even allowed to say
on I can't even say that. I'm.
We're not even allowed.
God bless these white people who
bless
just
them.
are ahead of the game and being like 200 years ago, like we gotta abolish slavery. That's amazing, dude. That's hard work. Like they're getting beat up for it.
We solved
right?
racism. We did it.
We solved racism just like
solved
that.
it.
Just like that. We have Amish on our podcast. We're not racist.
That's it. We can
Obviously.
say anything we want.
Obviously, we can say whatever we want. I can't be racist. I'm Irish. I'm Irish. Irish people
You're
can't be
Irish,
racist.
dude.
Yeah.
Irish are basically
Irish people told me about colonialism. I didn't know anything about it. Irish people had to tell me.
So, yeah, exactly. Right.
They know.
Exactly. Yeah. We would
People
know
from
that.
India were like, "Oh, without the British, we were nothing."
Yeah.
I swear to God, I have uncles like that.
really.
Like Irish people had to be like, "Fuck those guys." What are you talking about?
Right. Right. Yeah.
To be fair, they say that about everybody though.
But yeah, but to be honest, yeah, we do say that about everybody. All right, and so
Good though. That's why
That was me and John Candy. So
John Candy.
Yeah, that was
okay,
you.
I'm gonna
You're-
go with Michael.
We're on your number one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Michael J. Fox.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my top 5, and it's not for what most people would have chosen, like Back to the Future. Lame. Love the movie, but come on now. Michael J. Fox's career, like, to me, it's all
more
been
than
built
that.
on, like, ever since he's come out with Parkinson's, right? Like,
damn it,
so
Kelly.
who doesn't follow? So I chose the Michael J. Fox show
Oh, good.
for Michael J. Fox because who doesn't fall in love with humility? I mean, like, literally the whole show is him being able to make fun of himself with his family and like how Parkinson's affects him pursuing his career and everything else, and like he's just so freaking humble. Like that show made me laugh and cry, and it's like sitcom-y,
hilarious.
so
Right.
like that's still. I mean, I know I cry at everything, but that's still a stretch for a sitcom to make.
I
me
remember
cry.
I went to Dragon Con in Atlanta. Oh, God, it's probably 12 years ago now, and they had Alan Ruck and Barry Bostwick there for a Spin City panel because they just happened to have a couple of actors from the show. And
Yeah.
somebody had asked the question about, did you prefer the show with Michael J. Fox or Charlie Sheen? And the answer was, well, with Charlie Sheen, it was more like of an ensemble show, but with Michael, it was really his show. And they had went to talk about how none of them knew at the time that he had
He hit it.
Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Because and so they all had to deal with these really messed up like specific schedules, and he would just cancel a shot at the last second or whatever sometimes. And they all just thought he was an asshole at the time.
And they all thought he was an asshole.
How sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
that's
sad because
crazy.
when he was doing Back to the Future, he was doing that and he was doing that and Teen Wolf like
Yeah.
back to back,
Right.
That and
all
Teen
day,
Wolf.
all night. And was such
That
a
was-
cool guy. He was on Curb Your Enthusiasm a little while ago, and the storyline in Curb was like, I think Larry David thought he was trying to mess with him, and the guy brings him over to like make things cool, but he gives him a can of pop. But he has Parkinson's, so he shook the
So
can,
it's
and now
naturally-
Larry David's like, like he's like mad at him. I think I remember that storyline. I don't
Oh
know.
God, no!
But
It was
just,
just
he's so cool about it.
he is like yeah.
Mine's
I love
Michael
it.
J. Fox too, so let's just save it for my review. So let's.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
so you can go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm on my number one now. Ryan Reynolds is killing it too.
Ryan Reynolds for Ryan
And-
Reynolds.
He's got a new gin out. Coffeezilla did a video about that.
Yeah.
Aviation gin.
That's tight. I
That
just like
is.
that he does those ads. But my thing was Just Friends for him because Just Friends to me was like
Oh,
I
God.
hated rom-coms. I always thought rom-coms were like
Are you with me on
propaganda
this
for
one?
girls.
You don't like it?
And
I love
then
it.
Oh.
he comes out with Just Friends, and it's like it's hilarious. I mean, he did sketches. He did the character that was like, you know what I mean? Like it was the first one I saw where they did good bits in a rom-com. Because until then, rom-coms were a little
Just-
bit like
right, but
black.
I totally agree with you. I freaked out and knocked my headphones off and everything
you did.
because like I couldn't believe you said Just Friends. It is one of my favorite Ryan Reynolds movies because
Great
yes,
movie.
Anna Faris works beautifully in it.
Okay,
right?
she's awesome.
She's amazing, and then Amy Smart being the love interest, like because the whole like her being a part-time teacher working in a bar as well, like she pulled that character off so well. You could just see it, like it wasn't you weren't watching Amy Smart in a rom-com. And the way that they wrote Ryan Reynolds' comedy into that movie was brilliant. Yeah, I loved it. Here, on Just Friends 2005. Love it.
The beauty.
Yeah, and is it me now?
All right, go.
It's me now.
You guys are on number ones.
You've already
You're
finished.
on number ones. I have
No, you have one more number one? Okay, well, my number one is Michael J. Fox.
All right.
For the non-inspired Back to the Future trilogy.
Yeah.
I should add on it.
When
is the remake coming out? Because Rick and Morty
hopefully
came out, but I haven't seen the remake of that yet. But sorry, I
That
interrupted
would
your
be
review.
sweet.
one of the most iconic fantasy trilogies out there. Marty McFly is probably my Patronus. It isn't. I mean, it's really his work with Parkinson's research, though, that makes him one of my all-time favorites.
Right.
Like all of his stuff that he does off-screen,
Parkinson's.
I think is very important.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
It makes me respect the hell out of him. But I was gonna say when we were chatting about him earlier, one of my favorite guest star roles in a sitcom was when he had that 2-episode stint on Scrubs.
Okay.
That got me in the feels.
Right.
You know, because he didn't have Parkinson's. I don't know if it was MS, no, he was OCD, and that's the whole sequence where JD's coming to go tell him off or whatever, because you know he's such an overachiever and everybody's pissed off at him, and JD's going to tell him off, and he's just so busy just washing his hands over and over and over again, and he just cannot stop, and like JD comes and leaves, and Turk comes and leaves, and it's oh man. That's such a great two-part.
That's an interesting sequence. I like that. Interesting.
Great guy.
And then my number one was Ryan Reynolds, which we had already discussed. I had man crush on for forever. Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds, and it's not for what most people would think. I didn't choose
Is it
Just Friends. No, it's not. It's actually Buried. Okay, from 2010.
Buried?
Yeah, Buried. Because
I think Amish just got buried.
He did. We just buried Amish into the blue screen. Because you have to be genuinely entertaining for us to sit in a box with you for an hour and a half.
Right.
And when you're literally the whole movie is you in a freaking casket underground, you have to be genuinely entertaining for us to be able to sit through that. And I was attached to the screen the whole time. You know.
I haven't seen that.
Buried.
I saw the other guy do it. James Franco did a movie like that, 127 Hours, where he's
127
his arm
hours.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
haven't seen
realize,
it
but I had a fear of getting buried alive when I was a kid. I don't know where I got that from,
See.
but I couldn't watch it.
And this one, like the reason why I didn't like the movie is because basically it's a propaganda piece about anti Muslim terrorists. Okay, that's basically what it boils down to, is a propaganda piece against anti-Muslim terrorists. I mean, against
Ryan
Muslim
Reynolds
terrorists.
get buried.
Because he's
The
a
Buried
contractor.
movie?
Because he's a contractor in the U.S. Who's
Okay.
working for the U.S. military.
I
But he's just a
haven't-
truck driver. He's just a truck driver.
And that's your favorite movie. That's your favorite. You said.
It's the one I
you said,
decided.
Say more shit about the Muslims.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, that's not it. No, on the contrary, I'd be the first one to hit an American in the
You're like,
face for saying.
finally, someone's speaking the truth.
No, that's what I don't like about the movie because
Okay, cool.
because
Okay,
anyone who actually knows Muslims or Islam knows that the number one receding theme in it is charity and love. Like that's like so all
Also,
of this.
it's pretty similar to Christianity. I was always surprised by that. I don't know how, like I didn't realize so much of it was like, say, it was a continuation even.
Yeah,
Very similar.
Well, right. I mean, like, and
Yeah.
it's funny. I would encourage a comedic like conversation between a Christian and a Muslim about Jesus, just so I could hear the Muslim explain to the Americans, "Oh, that was a body double. We've been doing it in the Middle East for years. He didn't actually die. He disappeared for 3 days. He came back and was like, yo, prophets,
Yeah,
y'all."
he was. Well, I've heard this conversation a million times. So I grew up with a Muslim and a Christian. Well, I grew up with like a lot of whatever, but there's a Muslim and a Christian guy when I was a kid, and they'd always fight over who gets Jesus. Like this guy would say he disappeared and then he appeared as a soldier. The Muslim guy said that, and the Christian guy was like just mad. And I would try to bring in my points, and they'd say, hey, the real religions are taught. And as a Hindu, and they're like, hey, the real religions are taught. Like I didn't realize they have a thing,
And it's because they're fighting over just one God. That's why. Whereas with Hindu, it's like, well, we accept them all. Just add them to the lot, bro. Which is awesome. Which is again like why I think that the one thing I dislike about religion is how dogmatic it is, because there's not really any one answer, in my opinion. IMO. And so, with that being our top 15 for Canadian actors, the very last thing we do is
Twitter?
we do a get to the point review on a Twitter page. And seeing as how we all had Keanu Reeves somewhere in our list,
He deserves it.
I'm trying to look at Keanu Reeves.
What's he saying? He's saying some shit about the Capitol protests? The riot, I should say, the insurrection?
It says these tweets are protected. Only approved followers can see Keanu Reeves' tweets.
He hasn't approved us.
He hasn't approved us as a follower yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Which means that we have to review his profile, which says humanitarian, photography, travel, tech, book collector, film enthusiast, and actor. And to which I say,
what?
Welcome to the internet's boyfriend. That's my get to the point.
That's it.
Review on that, on his Twitter,
beautiful.
Right?
I think what he did is just like he can't put his hand down. He made the Twitter private. Like, I don't think he's making his Twitter private because he's saying anything wild, but he's like, you know what, just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
I have a consent.
Right.
My Twitter is consent based.
He's just covering his bases.
He's just covering his bases. He doesn't want Trump using it against him. Is what.
It's very smart, actually. He's like Zen. And that's why he's killing it in these movies.
He's Zen.
My get to the point review is not really, I guess, about his Twitter, but probably to me, the actor I least expected in my teens to be as popular as he is now in my 30s.
Right. Yeah. I don't know about least expected, just because Matrix always stands out in my head.
I'm about to say, as far as
shot him to stardom for sure.
As far as him actually being, like, I mean, I didn't think Pauly Shore was going to be big in my 30s, but
no,
he's not actually big, so that doesn't count.
Yeah. No. Keanu Reeves, he defied all the expectations, and
I appreciate
people
that.
talk about his acting. It's like, it doesn't matter. When you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's even like with Trump. People are like, oh, he doesn't know politics. It's like, hey, when you got it, you got it. Like, I mean,
he knows how to run the shit out of a reality show, though.
Nobody cares. What's that?
Trump knows how to ruin the shit out of a reality show, is what I said.
He knows how to ruin it. He made the show.
Run the shit.
I said run the shit.
Run the shit. Oh,
yeah, he runs the shit out of it. Yeah, no, he runs the media, man. If you watch his documentary, he knows how to control people. He knows how to run the media, and it's like,
he does.
When you got it, you got it. You're looking at Keanu Reeves like, oh, his acting, like he said whoa or something.
Whoa.
Keanu says, hey.
He says a lot more than whoa.
To be fair, though, like, rewatching the original Matrix movie, like, there wasn't a lot of great acting in the movie overall. There were some good performances, but, like, there was a lot of bad ones, too.
I love Lawrence Fishburne. His gravitas. Yeah. It's amazing.
Lawrence Fishburne was good. I mean, it was a stylized movie. It was almost, like, I don't want to say it was like film noir. Like, you remember the movie, L.A.? No, not L.A. Noir. What's the one with the comic book that they made out of a comic book?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes, I know what.
It's the noir one where they're all black. I have the books right here.
No. It was all in animation and Keanu Reeves.
Sin City.
Oh, Sin City. Okay.
See, that's not what I was
thinking of. I was thinking
of Scanner Darkly.
Scanner Darkly. That's what I was thinking of when you said it.
Scanner Darkly's good. I don't remember the acting on that. I remember Sin City, though, and a little bit LA Confidential, not so much. LA Confidential was just like powerhouse actors, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
But Sin City was like this. Matrix was like this. It's a little stylized. It's a little overdone.
300.
Right.
And I think he did his job. He's like supposed to be a guy who's like,
oh, yeah,
but I'm just a regular guy.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Loved
Well,
it.
for a long time, though, people thought he'd just be kind of typecast as...
Yeah, as the surfer, basically. Yeah.
I mean, I think he was. Look, when I was in acting classes, people said, pray to God that you get typecast. It means you're working.
It means you're working.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Shit.
Yes.
Right,
yeah. You know, the guy from Shameless, I can't remember his name right now.
William H. Macy?
William H. Macy, you know, like, he's talked a million times about being typecast, and he's like, I've never really thought of it like that. I don't care.
It means you're
working. It means you're working.
Like
that's kind of my thing. Like, I'd rather be like a character actor than like a lead, because it means you probably have more gigs.
Or not working. Or not working.
Right.
Yeah.
A character actor is great, but even that, you're going to get typecast as a character, even, because you look like someone.
Right.
Yeah.
And you need to make someone feel like this is just real life I'm watching. Right. So, like, what's Brad Pitt going to do? Change his voice every time? It's like, of course, he's just going to be himself going through that situation.
Yeah.
There's like 4 seconds of really sad things he has to do. There's 4 seconds of really crazy action, but most of it is like, don't act.
Right.
That's kind of what they teach.
It's reacting, really. Being
It's reacting.
Yeah. All right.
Cool, man.
Amish buddy. I know we're a few short minutes away from you needing to get going, which is perfect because we're right at the end. So, Amish, we roll out the red carpet for you, sir. If there's anything you'd like to tell our listeners and fans about what you're up to, what's in the works, let us know.
Oh my God, so much to talk about. 2021 is going to be an exciting year. We got the drip every Friday, as a lot of you guys probably know. Every Friday, and then my channel too, on my YouTube channel at Amish Patel, I'm going to be coming out with some more spiritual videos. So like, if you've been scammed, if you think you're in a cult, I'd say more cult. I'm going more cult. But on every Friday we review scams, we talk to people who've done scams.
2021 is the year of the cult.
The year of the cult.
So, check those out. I'm sure there's going to be links to all that in the comment section. And then I'm writing ads with Anand, who's someone that we saved from a cult, on the drip. So it's going to be a great year. I have TV stuff coming out, but it's going to take so long, dude.
Yeah.
It's all backed up because of COVID. I'm getting paid, but who knows when this animated show is going to get fully done. I'm getting paid to write it, but so just anyway, follow me on my YouTube page. Check us out on the drip. From there you'll see everything else. And then add vid growth with Anand. We're doing market. I think he has a video going up every day too now.
Nice.
So, a lot of stuff coming out on YouTube.
Beautiful. All right, and if you're a fan of video games or consider yourself a gamer, one of the cheapest and still legit ways to find some of today's best games is through CD Keys. CD Keys allows you to purchase Steam keys for some of your favorite games for just a fraction of the price. More details can be found with the affiliate link listed below.
And, if you didn't know, Kelly and I shot a movie a few years back called The Here and Now. Formerly offered on Amazon Prime, it is now exclusively located on the Fourth Wall Players Patreon page, as well as merchandise and behind-the-scenes content. Become a patron today at patreon.com/fourthwallplayers. That's patreon.com/4THWallplayers, all one word.
And finally, if after the podcast you're still clamoring for entertainment, film news, movie breakdowns, or comedy series, you can find more of me and Josh on the Hohenheim Productions YouTube with segments like What It Is, A Note of Brilliance, TV series plots as guessed by means, etc.
That's fun. That's a fun one.
Yes, it is. So, everyone, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks with the Get to the Point Review podcast.
And thank you, Amish.
Thank you. Amish.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is a great show. Tight.
Get to the point.